Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S5 5007, Jumbo, the most famous elephant in the world. By Bonnie Worth. Chapter 1. Up and down the streets of a small American town. Voices cry out, "They're here!" All summer long. People have been waiting for this day. They have read the handbills and the stories in the newspaper. They have seen the posters pasted up on fences and barns. In every diner and shop around town, it is all anybody can talk about. And now the day is finally here. The circus has come to town. But this is not just any circus. It is Barnum and Bailey's greatest show on earth. Greatest show on earth. It is the biggest and best circus in the whole world. It has traveled here by train from New York City, where crowds swarmed to see it. Now it is touring the country, stopping in a different town almost every day. Circus travels by night and arrives in the morning. Its workers set up all day and perform in the evening. The next day, they are off to another town. Men, women, and children run to the tracks to watch the circus train unload. It is the longest train most of them have ever seen, with over 100 railroad cars. Some are brightly painted, others are plain. What do they carry? The cars carry tent pole and canvas and ropes and banners and bleachers for the crowds to sit in. The cars then carry costumes and musical instruments and circus wagons and trapeze and even a cannon. The cars carry clowns and acrobats and singers and dancers and horseback riders and animal trainers. The cars carry horses and zebras and camels and ostriches and snakes and 30 elephants. And then there is the most special car of all. The special car is extra big and extra sturdy. It is 40 feet long, 18 and a half feet high, and huge double doors. It is painted gold and red, and across it in fancy letters is written Jumbo Palace Car. Everybody in town knows who is inside. They know from the handbills and the newspaper stories and the poster. They know because the Phineas T. Barnum, the co-owner of the circus, made sure they would know. Inside the car is the Barnum's towering monarch, Mastodon, the largest and noblest animal on the face of the earth. Inside is Jumbo the elephant. Later that evening, crowds lined the street to watch the circus parade by torchlight. All the performers and animals march through town to a vacant lot, where they put up a giant tent called the Big Top. The circus band leads the way, followed by horses in feathered headdresses. Then come the sideshow act, Jojo the dog-faced boy, the Chinese giant, and the bearded lady. Next come the clowns, the jugglers, the snake charmer, the tattooed man, the human cannonball, Jera the tightrope walker, and an entire tribe of Zulus. Then come the 30 elephants, plodding and swaying. And finally, the star of the show, the crowd gasps, then falls silent. The posters show him standing 30 feet tall. In reality, he's only 11 and a half feet. Still, the crowd is not disappointed. Jumbo looks enormous. Bigger than all the other elephants that came before. He is bigger than any living thing anybody there has ever seen. with his long snaking trunk and his huge flapping ears and his four legs like great tree trunks. He's an awesome sight. The children are amazed, thrilled. They are looking at a living wonder. When they grow up, they will tell the children and their children's children that they once saw the mighty Jumbo. How did this magnificent African elephant come to be walking down the street of a small town in America? It's a long, sometimes sad, but fascinating story. Chapter 2. Around 1860, in the wilds of Central Africa, a baby elephant was born. The little elephant probably lost his mother at an early age. Little elephants all over Africa were losing their mothers and their fathers too. Why? Because these were the days before there were laws against the hunting and killing of elephants. These were the days when hunters killed adult elephants by the hundreds. Elephants, if left alone, are peaceful creatures. So why did people kill them? Sometimes for meat, but mostly for their tusks. Tusks are the elephant's long upper teeth, which it uses to peel bark from trees and dig up roots to eat. Tusks are made of ivory, the smooth, hard, white substance that people have always prized. The ancient Greeks used ivory in their sculpture. During the Middle Ages, it was used to make holy objects. In the 1800s, it was used to make more common things like fish hooks and pool cues and piano keys. A single set of tusks could fetch a hunter over $1,000. The little elephant might have grown up and been killed for his tusks, but he had a different fate. Collectors came to Africa to catch animals and sell them to zoos. In those days, zoos were even more popular than they are today. Every big city in Europe had its own zoo. Lions and tigers were in great demand. So were rhinoceroses and elephants. An animal collector caught the little elephant, shipped him up the Nile River, and sold him to the Paris Zoo. At the time, the little elephant was only 4 feet tall. The little African elephant was now one of many elephants in the Paris Zoo's collection. No one thought he was very special. They kept him in a small, dark, dirty shed. They didn't feed him very well. They didn't wash him very often. They didn't pay much attention to him at all. He might have wasted away in the Paris Zoo, but the little elephant got lucky. The London Zoo had plenty of Asian elephants, but no African elephants. In fact, there had never been an African elephant in all of England. The London Zoo wanted to be the first zoo in England with an African elephant. What's the difference between the two kinds of elephant? Asian elephants are smaller than African elephants. They have smaller ears and their trunks have only one finger at the end. African elephants have 2 fingers. As it happened, the Paris Zoo had plenty of Asian and African elephants. What it really wanted was a rhinoceros, so the London Zoo traded one of its rhinoceroses for the little African elephant, and 2 anteater was the little elephant's first step toward the becoming star. Chapter 3. When Abraham the Bartlett, the head of the London Zoo, opened the crate containing the new little elephant, he was shocked and disgusted. The elephant was filthy and much too thin. His toenails were long, and his hide was covered with sores. He was too sick to eat. The Bartlett set to work, cleaning the elephant, trimming his nails and treating the sores on his hide. Soon the little elephant looked better and felt hungry. But the Bartlett fed the little elephant as much as he could eat. He ate hay and straw and rice and beets and bread and green veggies. The little elephant grew and grew and grew and grew. In a few short years, the little elephant had grown into a great big elephant, the biggest elephant anyone in England had ever seen. The butler named the elephant Jumbo after the expression mumbo jumbo, which meant African magic. It seemed like a good name for the enchanting elephant from Africa. Jumbo became the star of the London Zoo. Every day he plodded along the garden path, carrying children on a wooden bench on his back. During the next 15 years, over 1 million children waited in line to ride Jumbo at the London Zoo. Some were famous. Young Teddy Roosevelt had his picture taken on Jumbo's back. So did young Winston Churchill, but whether they were famous or not, rich or poor, Jumbo liked at the children, all the children. He never hurt a single one. But the person he liked most in all the world was a man named Matthew Scott. Matthew Scott worked at the zoo. He was Jumbo's keeper and best friend. Jumbo trusted Scott and Scott trusted Jumbo. Scott fed Jumbo and washed him and even slept with him. Every night before they went to bed, they shared a bottle of beer. One night, Scott forgot to share his beer and went to sleep. Jumbo lifted Scott with his trunk and shook him. Scott woke up 10 feet off the ground. He never forgot to share again. Jumbo spent his days in peace and contentment, but when he was about 20 years old, something happened that would change his life forever. Chapter 4. Gentle Jumbo began to get very, very grumpy. He behaved well in the garden with the children, but in his house he sometimes flew into rages. He bellowed and he bashed his tusks against the wall until they cracked and broke. He rubbed against the bars until his hide was raw. Sometimes he was even mean to Scott. What was wrong with Jumbo? Actually, nothing was wrong. What was happening to Jumbo was natural. The fact is, Jumbo had grown into a mature elephant. Mature male elephants have a gland on each side of the head. For a few weeks every year, the glands ooze a dark, oily substance, signaling that the elephant is ready to mate. This time it's called mush, pronounced mush. Today, people know that an elephant in mush should not be bothered. But in those days, they just assumed Jumbo had become dangerous. That frightened them. If Jumbo could behave this badly in his house, maybe one day he would behave this badly in the garden with children on his back. Abraham Butler was very worried. The butler could not have been happier when a man offered him a whopping $10,000 for the agitated elephant. That man was Phineas T. Barnum. Bartlett's 6.5-ton problem now belonged to him. Chapter 5. On January 25th, 1882, Barnum's people came with a huge packing crate to load up Jumbo and ship him to America. Crowds of Londoners gathered to watch, but Jumbo would not get into the crate. They tried to coax him, but Jumbo would not budge. Day after day, the crowds gathered to watch, and day after day, Jumbo was having none of it. The news hit the paper. If Jumbo wouldn't enter the crate, the story went, that it meant he didn't want to leave London. Angry letters began to pour into the Jew. Don't make Jumbo leave. Blah, 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 blah. Jumbo let the American showman keep his money. In America, Barnum heard about the letters. What was he upset about? The fuss? Absolutely not. Barnum could not have been happier. He was a showman who loved nothing better than a big fuss. Big fusses mean big publicity, and big publicity sold tickets. Americans were more eager than ever to see the latest addition to Barnum's show. Finally, in March, the problem was solved. It was agreed that Jumbo's keeper, Scott, would come with the elephant to America With Scott leading the way, Jumbo finally climbed into the crate. It took 6 horses, 24 hours to drag him to the dock. The Jumbo was hoisted by crate into the hold of a ship that would sail him to America. The great elephant and Scott were leaving behind an amazing thing. The thing was Jumbo Mania. England had, over the last few months, gone crazy for Jumbo. It was all the people talked about. There were discussions in Parliament about whether the Jew had the right to sell him. Even Queen Victoria mourned the loss of this national treasure. There were songs written about Jumbo, and restaurants served Jumbo puddings and pies. There were Jumbo postcards and Jumbo jewelry, Jumbo coins, even Jumbo underwear. By the time the two travelers had crossed the Atlantic, Jumbo Mania was there to greet them in New York. See Jumbo Chapter 6. On April 9th, 1882, Barnum and Bailey's greatest show on earth opened at Madison Square Garden, with Jumbo as the star. What happened? What was Jumbo's act? Did he do tricks? No, the horses and lions and tigers did tricks. Did he walk? No, the camels and the other elephants walked, carrying and publishing and pulling and heavy loads. Jumbo was simply a star. He wore a cape and plumed headdresses, and paraded around the 3 rings of the circus, impressing people with his enormous size. The crowds loved him. It had cost Barnum $30,000 to buy Jumbo, ship him to America. Jumbo made the money back in his first 10 days in America. He drew the greatest crowd. He drew the greatest crowds in circus history. Every day, Jumbo ate 200 pounds of hay, 3 quarts of onion, 2 bushels of broth, 2 bushels of oat, 3 loaves of bread, 2 crates of fruit and cakes and bundles. 2 crates of fruit and cakes and candies, 5 buckets of water. He was treated like a king. Chapter 7. Every summer, Barnum and Bailey loaded the circus onto railroad cars and toured it around North America. It was toward the end of the 1885 season that the circus came to a small town in Canada. Jumbo had just given the last performance of the day, and he, along with all the other elephants, was walking from the tent back to the station. Scott was leading the group with Jumbo and a little elephant called Tom Thumb. Suddenly, as if from out of nowhere, there came the headlight of an oncoming tree. It blew a loud warning whistle. Scott tried to steer Jumbo and Tom away from the tree, but the light and noise made them panic. Jumbo lifted his trunk and let out a loud trumpet. It was the last sound he would ever make. The train first crashed into Tom Thumb. The little elephant was scooped up by the cow catcher and flung down a steep bank. He broke his leg. Then the train crashed into Jumbo. The train hit him so hard that it ran off the rails. Holding the whimpering Scott's hand in his trunk, Jumbo died minutes later. People around the world mourned the loss of the great elephant. Did P.T. Barnum mourn? In his own way, perhaps. He certainly mourned the loss of Jumbo's income. Barnum quickly arranged to have Jumbo stuffed. In fact, it was not long before he was touring with two Jumbos, the stuffed hide and the mounted skeleton. The great elephant turned out to be worth more dead than he had been alive. Chapter 8. Jumbo is gone, but his name lives on in the dictionary as a word, meaning something very large. Toward the end of his life, Barnum donated Jumbo's stuffed hide to Tufts University in Massachusetts. It was destroyed in a fire in 1975. Athletes at Tufts reportedly robbed peanut butter jar, holding Jumbo's ashes for good luck. Jumbo's skeleton is at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. but sadly it's no longer on display. The story of Jumbo, sad as it is, touches on issues even larger than the great elephant himself. In the 70s, there were about 1.3 million elephants in Africa. 20 years later, there were less than half that many, because the hunters were still killing them for their tusks. Fortunately, steps were taken to protect the elephant. Land was set aside for parks and animals, where they could live freer. Began to grow again. Today, elephants are on the endangered species list. There are international laws that protect elephants and control the trade of ivory. There are also laws that prevent elephants in zoos and circuses from being mistreated or placed in unnecessary danger. In ancient time, the elephant was held scared, and even today it still is in some places. In the future, it is important that we continue to respect and preserve elephants. We must do all that's within our power to protect. We must do all that's within our power to protect for generations to come the largest and noblest animal on the face of the earth. The end.